AEW Dynamite earlier this week had some fantastic moments. I'm going to quick glance over that and tell you my key parts that I enjoyed, as well as some other pro wrestling news that is circulating for both AEW and WWE. I'm going to let you know my thoughts on all that right here on Screw the Script. Thanks for joining me again, everybody. Real quick, I just wanted to say thanks to everybody who has subscribed. I am now halfway to 300 subscribers, and my All in Texas review video was actually my most watched video, most liked video, and had the most comments out of any video that I have put out there so far. So again, a real quick thank you to all of you that have liked, comment, and subscribed, and continue to watch my content. It really means a lot to me. Now getting into Dynamite from a couple of days ago, I just wanted to glance over the key things that I enjoyed from the episode, as there's some news that I want to get to in a few moments here. But first, obviously the Hangman speech. Hearing his music, the crowd going nuts. Great Chicago crowd. I love the theater that they are in. I'm glad that they have a residency there, and they're going to be there, I think, for 4 more episodes of Dynamite, if I'm not mistaken. 3 or 4, somewhere along the lines of that. So it's going to be great looking, because I really enjoyed how it looked on Wednesday night. Hangman with an amazing and emotional speech. Having a champion that's a face, for one, because it's been a minute since we've had a face champ for the AEW title anyway. But not only that, just like seeing the belt, it still looked just as, it was so gratifying to see, and it looked just as satisfying to see it as when he pulled it out of the briefcase after he won at All in Texas. Great moment, and it's setting up future stuff. And him and MJF are going to feud. I don't know if that's going to happen at All Out later in September, or if it's going to happen at some other show, but that was a good fucking promo from Hangman. Kyle Fletcher had a really good match. He eventually beat, Mascara Dorado, I believe, was who it was that he wrestled. I saw like 2 or 3 things in that match that I've never seen before. It was a fantastic singles match on a regular episode of Dynamite. The Chicago crowd loved it. Kyle Fletcher does pick up the win, which was huge for me, because I don't want him to kind of just fizzle out after he didn't win the title, the TNT title, that is, at All in Texas. I do want him to eventually feud against Dustin and maybe beat him for that title after Dustin has it for a handful of months. Maybe he beats him at All Out, and it's just like a short-lived title run, because, I mean, Dustin is... He's old. He is the natural. He is incredible in the ring still at his age. But we all know that this is probably not going to be a long title run. So Kyle Fletcher is still, in my mind, the guy that should have a lengthy title run as TNT champ. We saw MJF and Hurt Syndicate cut a good promo, talking about their enemies, FTR. We might see an Edge and Christian reunion at some point. The AEW tag team division as a whole is real hot right now, and I'm glad to see them put more effort into their tag division again, because for a little while it got weak. And when AEW first started, it was a huge difference between what you would see in the other big promotion in WWE and the effort that they put towards their tag team division in AEW. There was a stark difference, very, very different. And for a little while, the last couple of years, it kind of more or less got kind of, leveled with WWE's tag division as well, where it just didn't seem like they were putting in as much effort into the division. But the last 6 months or so, pretty much all of 2025 and end of 2024, it's really gotten red hot again, and that's some good shit. The All-Star 8-man tag, it was a good tag match. We saw the Young Bucks win. The highlight, though, wasn't the match itself. When they came out and their music stopped halfway through, and the Comic Sans Titantron video played, I was belly laughing that whole time. Young Bucks, say what you want, they are extremely entertaining, especially as heels. I do think slowly over time, They're gonna keep losing all the power that they had as EVPs, and then they're finally gonna get humbled. They're gonna eat some humble pie. They're gonna eat that whole fucking plate of humble pie, that whole pie, I should say. And I think it'll eventually turn them back to faces. That's where I see this going probably in the next few months or so. We saw Tekla win that fatal 4-way match for $100,000. I really liked that. I really like Tekla. I hope they keep pushing her. She was my pick for All in Texas to win the women's gauntlet match. She did not. That was Athena, which I believe we also saw briefly on Dynamite, cut her promo. Tony Storm and Athena, yes, they had kind of like a little promo that we watched. That should be really good. That might also happen at All Out in September. I'm not quite sure when that's going to happen. Maybe it'll happen further down the line. I don't think any of these feuds are going to happen at Forbidden Door that came from the gauntlet matches. I think that's just too soon. It may still happen. I just personally think that's a little too soon to do that. So I think they should at least wait until All Out in September. I did like... not going to really talk about the Okada match because it was just a squash match, but him calling out Swerve, sign me up for that. Swerve and Okada, unified title match maybe. That could be one of the big, co-main events of All Out in September. Just having Okada's first opponent being Swerve sounds absolutely incredible. That match would fucking go hard. Let's get that match happening. Then we saw Hangman, the champ, Hobbs, and Briscoe take on the Death Riders. They did get out a win at the very end. I'm hoping that Hangman does kind of stray himself away from the Death Riders eventually. My mind is telling me that the Death Riders are slowly just going to fade into non-existence here. I really think it's ran its course. Now that Mox isn't champion anymore, I don't think he's going to become champion anytime soon again, especially with the Death Riders as a faction. So I think we're going to slowly see them just kind of disappear and maybe implode. Maybe Wheeler Yuta will go back to being a face. I'm not quite sure. What I am sure about is I do want Jon Moxley to finally go back on his own. In my mind, the best Jon Moxley was when he was on his own, his first AEW championship run. That's the Moxley that I want back. That's all I had quickly touching over Dynamite. Now we'll get on to some AEW and WWE news. And real quick to touch base on two other AEW things before I get on to some WWE stuff. We saw All In London. They're going back to London next summer, and it's going to be on August 30th. It's actually 2 days after my birthday. And that's going to be on a Sunday, so I'm assuming it's going to be another afternoon pay-per-view since they are going to be in London, so different time zone. That's just what I'm hoping, that we get an afternoon pay-per-view since it will be on a Sunday, and pretty much all of us will be working that following day. But I am really excited for them to go back across seas to London. Next, I wanted to talk about the other AEW thing. There's a guy named Raj Giri, if I'm pronouncing that right, who's part of Wrestling Inc. podcast or something. I used to watch them back in the day. And this, that photo up there, like, why? This is what I'm trying to talk about, where, like, there is no reason to hate on AEW's recent show. The next thing that he tried to do is hate on the fact that they're at a historic theater in Chicago for a residency, basically saying that the crowd looked terrible. It's just a mess. Tony Khan, his response was hilarious. It wasn't meant to be funny, but you can kind of see through it that he really just doesn't care what this guy has to say. There's so many people that write for websites or have their own channels and stuff that are much bigger than mine, that when I watch them and read their stuff, it truly just feels like they're hating on AEW to hate on AEW. Like, this is such a baseless claim. He just says that he doesn't enjoy it and pokes fun at it, but doesn't even give us a legitimate reason why he didn't enjoy it, other than maybe, I think there's a later tweet or post on X where I think he explained it maybe, but I think this one that I'm sharing was taken down, so I think he realized how pathetic it was, and pathetic it was. So Come on, do better. Lastly, on to some WWE news. We are now aware that Seth Rollins is going to be out for many months. I think it was 4 to 6 is what I was seeing. So I don't know what they're going to do going forward with his briefcase. I don't know if they're just going to wait until he's healed and then cash in sometime, maybe around Royal Rumble season. Kind of a mess. I do hope that he gets better. I've said before on my channel, Seth Rollins is one of the very few WWE guys that I actually care about still and will watch. And now knowing that he's not going to be on Raw for many months, I'm going to be honest, you probably won't see me review Raw very much for the next few months because the little bit of interest that I had there to even watch it and review it is basically gone now that he's injured right now. So I hope you a speedy recovery, Seth Rollins. Next, I wanted to talk about Jelly Roll being on Jimmy Kimmel Live, it looks like. He choke-slammed Logan Paul through a very obvious breakaway table. It had my head shaking the entire time. I cannot believe they're publicizing it this much and having a match with him and Randy Orton with the terrible, fucking stupid name of RK Roll. And this is why I think fucking God that we have AEW, because this whole segment was trash, especially when you want to pay for this up here. It shows the 2-day prices of SummerSlam, $17,000. That is a lot of money when you're going to be seeing, in my opinion, mid-tier quality wrestling with a lot of ads and a lot of celebrity engagement, including Jelly Roll. And even if I was rich, I could not justify basically paying for essentially a new car for one ticket. One. You go with your partner or a best friend maybe, and you are literally paying for like a brand new SUV, like $35,000, and that's probably not including, taxes and fees and all that stuff. It's probably right around close to $40,000 when it's all said and done, and that is just way too much money. That's all I had on this quicker episode of Screw the Script. You let me know down below what your thoughts are on everything that I said in this video. As always, thank you for watching. Thank you for commenting, liking, and subscribing. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please, hit that button down below. It really helps me out early on. I want to keep making content, unfiltered, unscripted content for you here on Screw the Script. This has been Maverick. Thanks for watching.